or again, I get my analogies and metaphors messed up. I make fun of this all the time. It's one or the other, but the house of cards, it gets overused, but it is. Or it's a Jenga game. You ever play Jenga?
Yes.
Where you stack. We're just stacking at this
right.
point. We're taking out of the base and putting it on the top, and it's fun, and it goes on for a while, and then finally, it's one piece too many, and when that piece is going to get stacked, I would think it's not going to be a whole lot longer, just because of the negative impacts of leverage and compounding interest. But again, I don't think anybody should be surprised at the ability of the powers that be to hold on to their power. Will probably drag things on for a while still.
Yeah, I think these credit default swaps, all it's going to take is the first guy to go, and then it's going to be like dominoes, I think.
Yeah, it's like the thing, and this is still, and here I try not to get myself all worked up, but the thing with Bank of America taking the $53 trillion in Merrill Lynch credit default swaps and sticking it into their regular Bank of America NA unit, to give the counterparties to those swaps the feeling that there are at least some assets behind them should they need them. I mean, it's really almost criminal. I mean, you want something to be upset about. The 99%, you want to be really ticked off about something. Right there, there's a transference of $53 trillion of negligence right onto the back of the taxpayer.
Right.
And it's disgusting that they're able to do it. But okay, so now you've got $53 trillion in credit default swap derivatives. The Bank of America has $1 trillion in customer deposits. I don't know what their total asset base would be, but it'll only take 2% of those credit default swaps to come get swapped. And there's your trillion. So the game is being played to just kind of extend and pretend and kick the can farther down but eventually, I mean, when that happens, I'm not sure. And hopefully it's a while still, so that as we try to prepare for the end of the Great Keynesian experiment, we have as much time as possible. I hope it's not Tuesday, but it could be. Who knows?
Right. As long as it goes on, at least we have a little more time to keep stacking.
That's right. Keep on stacking. You're never going to go wrong.
Well, thank you very much for answering my questions. I'm going to flip it back over to McLaren.
Okay, thanks very much. Third, we're talking about deflation now. When we've got debt going bad, as the 100-to-1, 400-to-1 leverage in the paper metals markets theoretically gets blown out. You're looking at all kinds of potentially deflationary scenarios currently playing out in Europe with 50% haircuts on Greek debt, and theoretically the other members of the PIGS, Portugal, Ireland, Italy, also wanting to get similar haircuts. How low do you see leverage going? Can it go? How low can it go? All the way back down to, you're talking about, give me a gold coin or get out of my face.
It could, yeah. It certainly could. Will it is another story. And I don't know if this is incongruent thinking, but I'm a firm believer that deflation or disinflation can occur in the world at the same time as inflation. And it is that inflation. I don't think it's the deflation that's going to be a problem. I mean, frankly, what's wrong with that to some extent? If the money that you have can buy you more of something tomorrow, that's, for a lot of things, that's a good thing. If I manage to save $100,000 and a house that was $150 is now worth $100, so I can buy it, hey, great. That's go ahead. I'm sorry.
I agree. I mean, I would love to be able to go buy an acre of unimproved raw land
Yeah.
for 1 ounce of gold. I mean,
Yeah.
at one time, that's kind of where it was. You get an acre of improved land, meaning trees have been cleared and it's in a meadow condition for 2 ounces of gold. 3 ounces of gold gets you that meadow that also has irrigation laid in it. And then you're talking about, I don't know, 1,000 ounces of silver for a house or something.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
you know, or a suit, or
Yeah.
that's not a bad thing. And again, this is just me and my some minimally economic trained brain talking. But the real issue then, though, is to mitigate the effects of this deflation. You've got the Fed printing money, and all you have to do is look at the price of gold since March of 2000. Well, really going back to 2002, but specifically to March 2009, you can see the price trend. If you look at the either an index of commodities or look at the individual commodities themselves. Heck, we were keeping a running total on the blog and on the site back during the quantitative easing number 2 of the month-over-month changes of corn and wheat and crude oil and all these dollar-denominated assets. And if you're going to have more and more dollars chasing a static, or, you know, in the event of crop failure or something like that, or just global demand, a declining amount of goods, the price is going to go up. And if you're sufficiently wealthy or protected enough that you can deal with that, good for you. And that's what we're trying to, you know, help people and teach people to think about at the TF Metals Report site. But if you're part of the 22.6%, and then, you know, really a bigger group than that is just living above the poverty level, or is just simply trying to eke by on 2 incomes, you know, and a mortgage. And all of a sudden you can't hardly even drive to work because gas is $5 a gallon. And you can't afford to feed your kids because cobbling together a dinner with hamburger at $5 a pound and that kind of thing. I mean, that's a serious deal. And then I'm talking everyday American life because that's my experience. But, you know, what if you are trying to feed 1.2 billion Chinese and the price of rice is going through the roof? Well, that's a recipe for some geopolitical instability. And these are all things that this reckless printing of money trying to paper over the problem is leading to. And it's going to be a very interesting rest of this year in 2012. That you can be assured.
Yeah, interesting times to come. We've been speaking with Turd Ferguson of tfmetalsreport.com. Thank you for sharing your time and thoughts with us again, Turd. We hope that the listeners have gained insights into the topics we've been discussing, and we hope that you enjoyed it as much as we did. If you didn't, look in that Keynesian rearview mirror for those hours and minutes. They're not out the front windscreen. On behalf of Fox and all of the members of the WebBot Forum, thank you, Turd. And in our tradition, may you and yours have many tasty pies to come.
Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.
Todd from
No.
Thank you. Turd from RTG. Thank you.
Oh, it's such an honor. Thank you. I mean, I really.
Thank you. You have a great website.
Oh, I'm glad you feel that way. It's still kind of a work in progress, but the real value there is not the information that you can get from me. It's clicking around and reading the comments and going into the forums, because that's why I built it. I mean, I knew that what I have to add is limited, but if I could leverage everybody else, then we'd really have something. And so I encourage everybody to really get in there and sniff around, because there's all kinds of good stuff there.